Hey everyone, we are going to start in about a minute. We're just waiting for everyone to join and then we'll start. Okay, cool. Hi everyone. Are you guys able to hear me? Just drop a quick yes or no in the chat, everyone. If I'm audible to everybody. Okay, cool. So I don't have my camera working today, guys. Some issue with my webcam. So I might be keeping the camera off. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Shubham, how are you? How are you doing? You tell me. Okay. So without any further delay, let's start. And from today, we are actually going to start talking about authentication. Okay. How many guys know what is authentication, what is authorization, these kind of stuff? Authentication, authorization. How many of you guys know what it is? Great, Shubham. I guess that much should be more or less good enough for attending today's session. Okay, cool. So let's start talking about it. Okay. So from today, we'll be focusing a bit of things around auth. Okay. Now, for any application, auth is one of the most important concepts. Okay. When I talk about auth, then we actually involve two main things. One is called as authentication. Another is called as authorization. Okay. So there are two terms. One is authentication and one is authorization. Okay. And these terms together, most of the time in any application, form the basis of your auth mechanism altogether. Okay. Now, for example, let's say we have our Uber application, right? We are working on the Uber app. Now, with respect to Uber app, we can say that there are two main entities that are going to actually interact with the application. What are the two main entities that are going to interact with the application? One is our passenger. Okay. Another one is our driver. Make sense? Rider and driver, passenger and driver, things like that. Now, let's just forget for a moment that we have passenger and a driver. For a moment, just consider thing as a user. Okay, that as a user with respect to any application, what actually happens. Now, let me take a very simple example. Instead of Uber, let's take a relatively simple example of something like e-commerce. Okay, in e-commerce, like let's say Flipkart. Okay, in Flipkart, if you have to do just window shopping, I believe everybody know about window shopping. In window shopping, what happens is you just take a look at the products, but generally don't buy any. Okay, so if you want to do window shopping, that means we just want to scroll around the products. We don't want to like do anything else. Let's say this is the overall interface, and there must be a bunch of products altogether. For example, one product here, one more product here, so on and so forth. We have to just scroll around the products that are present with Flipkart. If you have to just scroll around the products, we don't have to tell who we are. Can I say that? If we just want to do kind of like a window shopping, we don't have to tell who we are. Can I say that, guys? Okay. So for this, we do not need to tell who we are, right? This is something that can be done without knowing who we are, because we are not doing any kind of an interaction with the application altogether. We are just scrolling through the app or scrolling through the products. But just think about it. In case now we want to buy something. Let's say I want to buy this product. If you want to buy a product, in that case, what you have to do is you then have to tell, or you then have to clarify your identity. Can I say that? Because who is buying the product is very important, right? It's pretty important for Flipkart to understand that who is buying the product. Can I say that? Everyone, drop a quick yes or no in the chat. If Flipkart will not know who is buying the product, then how will they deliver the product? How will they know who paid for the product? So on and so forth. In this kind of a case, when a user has to buy a product, at that point of time, Flipkart needs to understand who are you? Who are you? Flipkart needs to understand this. Are you able to get this point? Same thing with something like Facebook. In Facebook, let's say if you want to read your messages, first of all, you need to tell Facebook that who you are. Then only your messages will be actually shown to you. Can I say that? Everyone, drop a quick yes or no in the chat. Okay. So this mechanism with which the applications are able to understand that who we are is called as authentication. Is called as authentication. That we identify ourselves, that who we are, what's our identity, and whether we have registered to the application, so on and so forth. In order for any authentication procedure to happen, there are actually two steps. It's a two-step procedure. Okay. If you are, and technically, let's not call it as a two-step procedure directly. Let's not call it as a two-step procedure directly, but let's call it like this. That let's say, if you are a new user, okay, then there will be something else. And if you are not a new user, then there will be something else. Okay. So if you're a new user, and other cases, not a new user. Okay. These are the two cases. Okay. Now, if you are a new user, then authentication will be a two-step process for you. What will be step number one? Step number one will be to sign up to the application. What is sign up? In the sign up process, you create your identity for the very first time. You create your identity for the very first time. Can I say that? You create your identity for the very first time. What is the meaning of creating the identity for the very first time? That this is the first time you are going to register, let's say, your name, your email address, few more details, so on and so forth. All of these things are going to be done for the very first time. Storing all of these things inside the application is done for the very first time. This sign up process you can also call as registration. You can also call as registration. Just think about it like this. Let's say if you want to take an admission in a school, if you are new, let's say you are for the very first time taking an admission in the school, then you have to register as a student, right? But once your registration as a student is done, then every time when you have to enter the school, you don't have to re-register yourself. Can I say that? You just show your ID card and you are through. Yes or no, guys? Just think about it. If there is a school and you want to take an admission to the school, okay? So let's call it like this. Let's say there is some kind of a school. Okay. Some kind of a school is there. Okay. Now, if you want to take entry in this school, there are going to be two mechanisms. What is one mechanism? One mechanism will be that you are an old student. Okay. You are old student. Another mechanism will be that you are a brand new student. If you're a brand new student, then you have to first of all register yourself inside the school. Right? You have to tell who you are, what's your age, what's your parents' name, where do you live, do you want to opt in for a bus service or not, so on and so forth. This is the first time registration that you do. Once your first time registration has been done, then in order to enter the school, what you do is you show something like an ID card. Yes or no, guys? You show something like an ID card and you're able to enter the school. But if you're an old student, as an old student, you already have an ID card, right? Then you can also take an entry directly. So same thing here in our application as well, that in case this is the first time you're going to create an order, or this is the first time you want to do an activity for which Flipkart needs to know who you are, then you sign up yourself or register yourself. Okay, that's step number one. And what is step number two? What is going to be step number two? The step number two here is going to be sign in. Sign in. That now you have successfully registered yourself. Now, every time when you want to, let's say, do something on Flipkart's application, you will tell, hey, Flipkart, remember, this is who I am. And then Flipkart will allow you to do that thing. If you are not a new user, then you do not need to register yourself. You can just directly sign in. Same thing like this school example, that if you are an old student, you already have an ID card. Nobody is going to stop you in going inside the school. Are you guys going to get this point? Drop a quick yes or no in the chat. Is this point making sense? Any questions as of now? Okay. Now, this is what authentication is. Now, the other term that I talked about was authorization. It was authorization. What is authorization? Okay. So, authorization tells what you can do. Authorization tells what you can do. For example, inside a school, if I take again an example of a school, okay, so inside the school, there can be two main entities. What are the two main entities of the school? One entity is a teacher, one entity is a student. Can I say that? Okay. So one entity is a student, other entity is a teacher. Now just think about it. Can the students do all of those things that a teacher can do? For example, can the student review anybody else's mark sheet? Or can the students evaluate somebody else's examination paper? No. These things cannot be done by the students, right? Similarly, students cannot teach in a class. Teachers can teach in a class. Students are allowed to give examinations. Teachers are not allowed to give an examination. Can I say that? Yes or no? Okay. So what students can do and what teachers can do actually differ. And why? Because they have different roles. Okay. So allocating tasks based on roles or associating capabilities based on roles is actually called as authorization, where you tell the application what this particular entity can do. Now, let's just think with respect to our application. Let's say there is a driver. Okay. Now, there can be a case that, let's say, some drivers are your premium drivers. Premium driver means they are able to ride something like Uber Black. Okay. They can ride Uber Black. Now, not everybody can ride Uber Black, right? Some drivers will be your normal drivers. They are only allowed what? Uber Go, or maybe let's say Uber Premium. Okay, these are your normal drivers. They can ride Uber Go and Uber Premium, but only premium drivers can ride Uber Black, right? If only premium drivers can drive Uber Black, then maybe the registration process for premium is different. Okay, maybe they get some other extra benefits also. For example, what can be the extra benefits? That, let's say, based on their ratings, they get some points, and those points they can redeem as benefits or some gifts. But these benefits are not available for the normal drivers. So you can see, based on what role a driver, particular driver possess, based on that, there can be different actions that they can actually do. Are you able to get this point? So this is what authorization and authentication is. Authentication tells who you are. Authorization tells what you can actually do. Does that point make sense, everyone? Say yes or no in the chat. Is the point of authorization and authentication clear? Okay. Now, in order to understand all of this authorization, authentication, everything, we'll go step by step. Our first focus should be to understand authentication, because this is a very crucial process. It's very, very important to understand how exactly authentication can work. And as I mentioned, authentication can be a two-step process. That first of all, you have to register, and then you are able to log in. Are you able to get this point? So it's a two-step procedure. First is this, second is this. Can I say that, guys? Can I say that, guys? So technically now we have to learn three things. One, registration, second, login, third, authorization. So we'll again go step by step. And let's start with registration. Let's start with registration. Okay. Now, you might think that registration is a fairly straightforward process, right? Registration is a fairly straightforward process. Why? Because like you don't have to do much in registration, right? What will happen in a registration? Let's see. Let's take a look at the steps. First step should be, there should be a mechanism to collect mandatory user details. Can I say that? There should be a mechanism to collect the mandatory user details. Okay. Once those user details are with you, then what you have to do is you have to store those details in your database or whatever is the persistent storage that you are actually going forward. But it might look like these are the only two things that you have to do, but there are few more things that you need to take care about. Okay. Things to take care about. What are the things that you have to take care of? First thing that you have to take care of is that if there is any sensitive information, what can be a sensitive information? For example, your password. Then your sensitive information should not be stored in a plain fashion. Instead, it should be stored in a encrypted way. Are you guys able to get this point? So a lot of times in the past, there have been instances that applications get their database hacked or their database gets leaked. In case inside your database, if you store sensitive user information without encryption, then those sensitive information might get leaked for the public people, and then that can be misused. What other things can be your sensitive information? For example, your credit card number, okay, or your CVV number, right? Your credit card expiry. Same things for your debit card. Can I say that? These things are your very crucial piece of information. You can't lose it. You can't just store them in a plain fashion. Just think about it. If let's say you are storing credit card information and all in a plain fashion, and let's say you are not in India, let's say you are outside of India, then any developer can just query the database, get the credit card details of any user, and then just spend them online. Because in US, in Europe, you don't need an OTP to make a transaction. I'm not sure how many of you guys know that, but in case you go outside of India, OTP is not mandatory for you to do a credit card transaction. In that case, if anybody gets the credit card number directly, you can think it can be a catastrophe. And your developers can also do that, right? In case your database is not even leaked, your developers can do that. Are you able to get this point? Drop a quick yes in the chat. So this encryption mechanism is pretty important that you have to take care about. Other mechanism that you have to take care about is handling uniqueness. What do you mean by handling uniqueness? Handling uniqueness means that two users in any case should not be able to have absolutely end-to-end same information. Like if let's say I register on facebook.com, nobody else should have end-to-end exactly same information as mine. Nobody else should be able to mimic himself or herself as me. Are you able to get this point? So uniqueness is very important. Are you able to get this point? For example, there should be unique parameters that you have to store for every user. Every user should have a unique email. Every user can have a unique phone number, right? Sometimes multiple people have same phone numbers, but in that case, email should be something that is unique. In applications like Instagram or Twitter, your username is unique as well. Okay, so you need to have some sense of uniqueness altogether. Like one user can have multiple accounts with the same phone number, but different username. Are you able to get this point? But let's say if you are doing an application, like for example, let's see, if you have a WhatsApp kind of an application, then phone number is a unique parameter that you have to keep. One WhatsApp account should have a unique phone number. So it depends what kind of application you are building will decide whether you need to have a unique username, unique email, unique phone number, what it is. For example, in an Uber application, the email and the phone number should be unique. We don't care about username. Are you able to get this point? Username is of no use to us at all. Can I say that? समझ में आ रहा है सबको? Are you able to get this point, guys? ठीक लग रहा है? Okay. Now, don't you think handling uniqueness is going to be pretty easy for us? Because what we are doing, we are using MySQL. Okay. In MySQL, you can have a unique constraint. You can have a unique constraint that you can apply on different parameters altogether. So that's a pretty straightforward way. The other thing that is going to be important is encryption. That should be encryption. Okay. Your encryption mechanism should be available with you. Now, if you want to do encryption, if you want to handle encryption, there are already a lot of I would say algorithms that are pre-built for you to actually encrypt your data. Are you able to get this point? One of the most famous algorithms that you can find is something like bcrypt. Right? Something like bcrypt. Bcrypt is pretty strong, and bcrypt is kind of like very widely used as well. You can also look for alternatives of bcrypt. If you search for alternative of bcrypt, you will find more algorithms that are some alternatives of bcrypt as well. For example, you can see there is something called a simple crypt as well. Okay, and let's see more. Let's go back. Okay, alternatives of bcrypt. So if you go to Reddit, you can see there is something like Argon 2. Then if you go here, good alternative is pufferfish 2. These are all algorithms. Now, if you're too much into cryptography, if you want to learn cryptography a lot, you can read how internally bcrypt works altogether. Okay, like if you are a student of BTech, then in BTech, sometimes in a semester, there is a whole unit where they talk about what is hashing, what is encryption, how hashing and encryption is different, some hashing algorithm, some encryption algorithm, public-private encryption, two-way encryption, so on and so forth. Are you able to get this point? Drop a quick yes or no in the chat. Okay, so we are not going to focus too much around the differences here and there. if you want to know basic difference between hashing and encryption, I can tell you. For example, like hashing, like I believe everybody must have heard about the word hashing. So when somebody asks people that what is hashing, people say hash map is hashing. No, hash map is not hashing. Hash map is an application of hashing. What happens in hashing is that you have a large data set. Okay. In hashing, what you have is you have a large data set. You have a large data set. And then what you do is you map that large data set to a very small data set. To a very small data set. That's what you call as hashing. Okay. Because just think about it. Let's say you have a hashing algorithm. Let's say h of x is equals to x mod 5. Okay. And x can belong to the range 1 to 1000. Now just think about it. Initial data set is as big as 1 to 1000. But after applying this hashing algorithm, every value is going to be either 1, 2, 3, 4, or 0. Can I say that? Because what you're doing x mod 5. So the final data set that every value will be mapped to will be as small as this. Can I say that? So you have a large data set and you map that large data set to a small data set. How many of you guys are able to get this point? Drop a quick yes or no in the chat. Now, what is the consequence of this? What is the consequence of this? Anyone? Collision. Yes. Multiple values can have collisions altogether. Are you able to get this point? That's the biggest consequence here. Okay. And important part to keep a note is that this can cause collisions. Collision means there can be multiple values that will be mapped with the same value altogether. If that is the case, then in hashing, there can be only one-way transformation. Yes or no? That you can take an input and get a hashed value, but from a hashed value, you cannot get the source back. Are you able to get this point? Are you able to get this point, guys? Okay, that's what hashing is. Now the other term is encryption. Other term is encryption. Okay. Other term is encryption. In encryption, what happens is that you have some data and you modify that data into some unreadable form. Okay. Unreadable and unmanageable form. And then use this data to maybe transfer the data on everything. And then this unreadable data can then be decrypted to the original data altogether. So there is, you encrypt the data, and then you decrypt the data. So the biggest difference here is what? The biggest difference here is that your original data can be actually recovered if you know the encryption and the decryption mechanism altogether. Are you guys able to get this point? Any example of encryption, guys? Any example of encryption, like in real life, you might have seen encryption maybe somewhere? No, not DB password. Because, guys, do you think DB passwords should be encrypted? Do you think passwords should be encrypted? Passwords should not be encrypted because then they might be decrypted as well. A good example of encryption can be your HTTPS request. In HTTPS request, you use a two-way encryption mechanism. A public-private key-based infrastructure exists, using which you encrypt your data and then later you can decrypt that. Another example can be WhatsApp chats. If you have enabled end-to-end encryption, then nobody else can read the chat, and it will be encrypted from one end and decrypted to the other end. Are you guys able to get this point? Okay. Now, for our use case, for storing passwords, we should use some kind of a hashing algorithm. Okay. Because with hashing algorithm, what will happen is, even if our database gets leaked, people will not be able to get original password from the hashed password. And bcrypt is a hashing algorithm only. Are you guys able to get this point? Bcrypt is a hashing algorithm only. Is that point making sense? So bcrypt, now again, you might be thinking that if, okay, bcrypt is a hashing algorithm, then two password can have same hashes, right? Just think about it. If bcrypt is a hashing algorithm, then let's say there can be two or more than two passwords that might be hashed to a same password. But bcrypt handles all of these things, right? You can read about the infrastructure of bcrypt. Bcrypt creates something like a unique salt for each and every unique input, making sure that even if there was a possibility that two passwords could have got the same hash, they still get a different hash using these salts. There's a lot of things that bcrypt actually does. You can read about the algorithm, but bcrypt, you have to keep in mind, is a hashing algorithm altogether. Dhruv, so what we will be doing is we'll be having some incoming password, which will be a plain password from the user. We are going to pass this password through the bcrypt algorithm, and then we are going to get a hashed password. And this is going to be a one-way hash. That from here you can go here, but from a hash password, you cannot go to the incoming or the plain password back. No. Even if, now the best part is that our devs can watch the hashed password, or anybody can watch the hash password, but from the hash password, you cannot get the incoming password back. That's the power of hashing, right? Is this point making sense, everyone? But devs can get the password from the request. Yes, devs can get password from the request. Again, that's, so it's kind of like that. If at any point of time, the user is sending the password, right? Then maybe you can log those passwords or something. But again, you have to trust your developers at some place, right? Otherwise, no, I would say mechanism is 100% fail safe. Like, of course, people can get those things. Are you able to get this point? How will it match? So Shubham, bcrypt also gives us a matching algorithm, right? We can directly use the bcrypt library to use the matching algorithm, in which it actually again takes a incoming password, and it is able to match that. Will this incoming password create the same hashed password or not? And if it yes, then it will return a true, otherwise it will return a false. Again, there can be a possibility of collision, but bcrypt is a very advanced algorithm, and algorithms better than bcrypt also are pretty advanced. They minimize the situation of collisions as much as possible. Can the password be encrypted from the UI side and sent across the backend? So Rachel, when you do HTTPS, then technically you are encrypting that data, right? So that no man in the middle attack can actually happen to your request. Okay. But again, as I mentioned, like you will think that, okay, sir, how about I hash the data on the front end? If you have a bad developer, then the developers before encrypting those data can send an API request and store all of the password that the user is entering somewhere, right? We can talk about OAuth 2. OAuth 2 is an authentication standard that a lot of OmniAuth logins like login via Google, login via Facebook, all of these work. I'll give you an idea maybe in the next class or something, right? Because what happens is that there is a dedicated end-to-end server which is involved, like Google server, which actually authenticates us and then gives the response back. So that's OmniAuth. And OmniAuth 2, like OAuth 2 is the standard for these kind of login infrastructures like login via Google, login via Facebook and everything, right? Bcrypt on the other hand is a hashing algorithm. If you don't want to do like authentication and you just want to do hashing for some purpose, you can still use bcrypt. Okay, so what we are going to do, we are going to make our own I would say authentication mechanism from scratch. Make sense, guys? Is this point making sense to everyone? Drop a quick yes or no in the chat. Okay, so that's how registration will work for us. That's how registration will work for us. And we have to keep in mind that whatever we do, we should not store plain data whenever there is a, I would say, crucial user information or sensitive user information is involved. That is something that you have to always keep in mind. Does that point make sense, everyone? Say a yes or no in the chat. Any questions from anyone? Okay, so now what we can do is we will start preparing one more microservice which is going to handle authentication. When currently we have just talked about registration, so let's start preparing our registration APIs. When we will come to authentication, I'll tell you how authentication will work, and then when we will come to authorization, then I'll tell you how authorization will work. I don't want to make it complete end-to-end theory, otherwise it will be boring for a few people. Okay, so maybe we can start. So I'll open IntelliJ and we can start setting up a brand new Spring Boot project. Make sense, everyone? So let's close the project from here. Saurabh, the review service was an individual microservice. Here I'm going to make individual microservice. In a few classes, I will tell you how these microservices are going to interact, how this could have been different with the monolith. I'll talk about that altogether. Okay. For now, guys, for now, just keep in mind one thing, that we are going to prepare a separate Spring Boot project altogether that is going to just handle authentication for us. You might have a question that why do you want to do it? Why not in the same project? I'll answer all those questions in the upcoming set of classes. Yes, Dhruv, everything will come up. Don't worry. We'll talk about everything. Okay. Cool. So like for API gateway, there are packages that we can use from Spring, but okay. So let's try to create a new project. I will call it as Uber project auth service. Okay, cool. Again, we are going to keep language as Java, type as Gradle Groovy, and packaging as jar. I'll click on next. And now what do we need? We need a few packages. Yeah, Shubham, please go ahead. Please ask. What's your doubt? Do you want to come on call, Shubham? Do you want to come on call? Okay, so Shubham, 1 second. Okay. Hi, Shubham. I've asked you to unmute it.
Hello, hi Sanket.
Yeah.
Sanket, my query was like we are developing different projects for different topics, right?
Not different topics. I would say for different responsibilities.
Yeah, correct. So, like we are planning to design a Uber-based backend, right? In all of that thing will be connected at some point.
Yes,
Right?
everything will start getting connected. All this, like the review service will also connect with all of this authentication service. Then we'll be having a booking service altogether.
Yeah, so we can assume that we are developing some kind of microservices for each of
Yes,
the.
the best part will be this microservice, this auth microservice. If you want to use it somewhere else also, we will try to make sure
Okay.
you are able to use
Mhm.
that. Okay.
Yeah, got it. Okay.
Okay. Cool.
Okay, thank you, Sanket.
Cool. Okay, so now we need some tools, guys. What are the tools that you guys recommend? We should start with Spring Boot Dev Tools. We should have Lombok, definitely. Can I say that? Configuration processor. Okay. And we need what? Spring Web. Okay. Cool. Then, apart from this, some Spring Data JPA based things we will need. Yes or no, guys? We need Spring Data JPA altogether. And for example, let's see, we'll need flyway migration. Okay. Then what else? We will need MySQL driver. We will need the MySQL driver altogether. Anything else that you guys think? Okay, looks good. Dev tools I've already added. Okay, cool. Let's click on create and let's wait for it to create a brand new Spring Boot project. Okay, so you can see it's building it up. Anand, that's the new package, no? So I will introduce it in a moment. Okay, cool. Okay, so you can see most of the things, you can see it's still installing. So let's wait for it for a moment. Okay, so if you go to build.gradle, you can see all of these packages we have with us. But do you think if I will run the project, it is going to run? Do you think it is going to run? No. Why? Because we need to specify the corresponding configurations. Yes. So we'll go to resource application.properties, and here we have to define our configuration. What I'll do is I'll open our last project. That was our review service in a new window, for example, and I'll copy most of the things so that we don't have to go ahead again and again with the same stuff. Okay, I'll copy all of this and then we'll see what all things we want to keep, what all things we don't want to keep. Let's close it and paste it here. Okay, so this is the data source. I'm going to keep the same database altogether. Okay. Dhruv, I'll show you like for debugging, like we can have some discussion on debugging. It will be helpful for the debugging part. I guess we have not yet covered it, but we can surely you can do. Okay, we need a username for the database. We'll still use that. Password, we'll still use that. Again, mentioning currently I have just hard coded this here, but ideally it should be coming from some secure variables or something, but we'll talk about that. Show SQL to true so that we have all the logs. Can you see hibernate DDL auto? I have kept it as validate. Make sense? So it will not create the models for us. It will only validate the models for us. Are you able to get this point, guys? Okay. 7475 we can keep, let's say, as the port, because 7474 I've already kept as the review service. Okay. This is for enabling lazy loading. We'll keep that. Okay. Flyway URL, we have kept Flyway configurations and Jackson configurations. I guess more or less this looks good to me. And we have this auth service application. If you will execute it, you can see our project is up on port 7475, and you can actually go to localhost 7475, and you can see we are getting the same white label error, which means that our Spring Boot app is up and running. Are you guys able to get this point? Okay, so what I'll do is I'll create a GitHub repo. Okay, so that we can track it closely on GitHub. I'll call it as Uber project auth service. Okay, create repo. We'll come to the terminal. We'll say git init, git add all, git commit -m, first commit, and I'll get the remote from here. And git checkout -b master, git push origin master. So this is the URL on which we are going to keep our auth service altogether. Let me share that with you guys. Okay. Or you can just come to my repo and just search for Uber project auth service. You'll find it here. Make sense, everyone? Okay. Got it, guys? Cool. Now, the first thing that we have to do is we need to start setting up an API. That API is going to allow the users to actually register themselves on our application. Can I say that, guys? We need to start setting up a API altogether. Yes or no? So let's start setting up our controllers. So I'll create a new folder or new package, controllers. Make sense? Okay. Inside the controllers, what we are going to do is, we are going to create a new Java class and we will call it as auth controller. Dot. Sorry, we don't need to do a dot. Just click on it. And you can see we have a brand new auth controller altogether. Make sense, guys? Everyone, is this point making sense? Okay, cool. Now, how will we start managing our auth controller? We need a annotation here. What will be the annotation? We can use the annotation REST controller. Okay. And we'll use the annotation request mapping. Okay. What is request mapping going to do? If any request is going to start coming to /API/v1/auth, any kind of a request that will start with this particular path is going to be handled by this particular controller. Are you guys able to get this point? Drop a quick yes or no in the chat. Okay, cool. Now the first method that we can actually write can be a post method, post mapping to /signup. Okay, /signup or /register, anything you can keep. Okay, and let's say for now we are going to keep a public response entity. For now I'll keep it wildcard, but later I'll give a DTO and I'll call it as sign up. Okay, make sense, guys? And here, from here, we are going to return a new response entity altogether. Okay, cool. But we have to do some things here. Now, how the sign up API is going to look like? Inside our sign up API, we are going to have these things. Okay, let's talk about it. So how the sign up API is going to look like? So the sign up API will be having the route as /API/v1/auth/signup. Okay, cool. Now, here, this is going to be a post request. Okay. And the data related to the sign up is going to actually come inside the request body. Are you guys able to get this point? It's going to come inside the request body. If you need a name, email, password, whatever details you need, all of those details are going to come inside the request body. Make sense, everyone? Now, inside our application, we have two main entities. One is a passenger. Okay. One is a passenger and one is a driver. Okay. Ideally, if you see Uber, then registration process of driver is going to be more or less absolutely different from the registration process of a passenger. Okay. Why? Because the registration process of driver needs more details. Maybe your car details, right? Your registration number details, your license number details. A lot of things you will need for driver, but for the passenger, you need some basic bare minimum things. Are you guys able to get this point? Yes or no, guys? Okay. So we can also do the same thing. We can have a sign up for a passenger and a sign up for a driver. And in both of the cases, we can expect a different request body altogether. Are you guys able to get this point? So we are going to have a request body. So we need to define that request body somewhere. Yes or no? Everyone, we need to have a request body. So that request body we need to define somewhere, right? What should be the entity or what should be the formation of the request body? What do you guys think? It should be in the form of a DTO. Can I say that, guys? It should be in the form of a DTO. Yes or no? So we need to have a DTO here that can actually help us identify basic bare minimum details. For example, email, password, these kind of details for our passenger altogether. Make sense, everyone? Any questions as of now? Anybody with any questions? Did you guys get the point? Why do we need two different methods? One for passenger, one for driver? Because they are two different entities altogether, but both of them needs a sign up. Shubham, this is called as wildcard. Like you can return response entity of any type from here. It's kind of like that. Make sense? Okay. So let's start building this up, guys. Let's start building this up. Okay. So first of all, what we are going to do is we are going to have a sign up request DTO for passenger. So let's create a new DTOs folder. New package DTO, right? And we are going to say new Java class passenger sign up request DTO. Okay. This is going to be there with us. Okay. Inside this DTO, what is this question mark meaning? Guys, in the previous few classes, we discussed about wildcard response. I gave you a homework as well, which was actually based on this wildcard response. Remember? Yes, Shubham. Guys, please watch the previous set of lectures. We have already discussed this. I'll again explain, although you know about generics in Java, right? That this response entity will be of some type. If you don't want to define the type, it can be of integer type also. It can be of type some custom object also. In that case, you can have this question mark. It's kind of like a wildcard. Wildcard means it's kind of like automatic. Whatever you want to set the response entity type, whatever will be the response type, it will automatically take that type. So response entity can be of type integer, double, some custom object, anything. Okay. I've just kept it for a placeholder, although here we'll be having a dedicated response DTO also, but we'll come to that. Okay. Now we'll set the basic getter setters. Getter, setter, builder, no args constructors, all args constructor. Now, can anybody answer the question? Why do you need a getter setter for a DTO? Can anybody answer that question? Why do you need a getter setter for a DTO? Yes, because when a DTO object will come up, it will come up in the form of a JSON. Our libraries, serialization, deserialization library is going to convert that JSON into a Java object. When it will create that Java object, it will need these getter setters to set those values and get the values. Make sense? So keep that thing in mind. Okay. Now, for the passenger DTO, what do we need? What all things do we need? Maybe for passenger, we need the email ID of the passenger. Okay. So we can say string email. Then maybe we need password. So string password. And maybe we need the phone number. Maybe we need the phone number. Are you able to get this point, guys? What other details for the passenger do we need? Okay. Maybe, for example, we can, like in Uber, there is no concept of username. So we can avoid username also, or if you want, you can keep a username as well. It's totally dependent on you. We can actually keep an eye, like we can check what all details we kept earlier. If I open the review service, new window, there will be an interesting question also that we have to answer. But before that, let's see what all classes we kept here. Here. So we kept name, email, name, license number, phone number. We didn't even keep email and everything, but we have to keep that. Okay, we'll bring that back here. But you can see we need a license number, we need a name, a phone number. That's it. So let's keep that. So phone number, string license number. And okay, do we need a license number for passenger? One second. I have, oh, sorry, this was a driver. No? Oh, we just need a name. We just need a name. I'm still keeping a phone number. Yeah, I'm still keeping a phone number, but we just need a name. So let's keep a name. Are you able to get this point? Drop a quick yes or no in the chat. Everyone, is this point making sense? Okay, cool. So we have a passenger sign up request DTO coming up altogether. So what we'll do is here we should say @ request body. And what will be the type of the request body? Passenger sign up request DTO coming up all together. Are you guys able to get this point? Drop a quick yes in the chat. Okay, cool. And we should create a response DTO as well. Guys. Once the sign up will be successfully done, we might have to send a response DTO also. Yes or no? In the response DTO, what do you want to send? Maybe you want to just send a passenger DTO kind of a thing. Okay. So I'll create a common Java class, passenger DTO. Okay. Same thing, @getter, setter, builder, no args constructor, all args constructor. Okay. Now what all details do we want to send? We want to have a string. And one more thing we should do. Let's keep all of these properties as private. No point of exposing it for everyone. So we'll come to passenger DTO. We say private string will say the name. Private string will show the email. Private string, I'll show the password, but this will be kind of like the encrypted password. This will be the encrypted password. Make sense? Token and everything I'll talk about, Rajat. We are just doing the registration process as of now. You can use anything again, no problem there. Shubham, yeah, once auth is done, right? Currently, guys, everyone, I am keeping a process. Like there are two type of application. One type of application is what? When you sign up, and when you sign up, you immediately sign in also. But some applications are, they expect you to sign up first, and then they expect you to separately sign in. Are you able to get this point? So we are going to make a API where we expect the user to first sign up and then sign in separately. You can mix both of them also. Why I'm keeping it like this? Because it's easier to teach. Otherwise, everything will start getting mixed up. Why are we returning everything? Because maybe like just for API purpose, you can even just return a success also. But for now, I just want to show you like a lot of things here are going to be for learning purpose as well, right? So I want to show you how the encrypted password is looking like. Yes, hashed password doesn't mean encrypted password. Encryption, like you can say it's a like encryption is a different thing. Hashing is a different thing. Hashing is one way. You cannot retrieve the original password from the hashed password back. Okay. Both of things are different, right? There are different encryption algorithms. There are different hashing algorithms. Keep that thing in mind, guys. Okay, coming back. So we'll give the email, password, then maybe phone number. Okay. Anything else that we have? Yep. And let's also do private date created at. Okay. That when the user account has been created, I'll also send that response back. This is going to be our passenger DTO response. So from this sign up request, I'm not going to return a wildcard. I'll say a passenger DTO altogether. Make sense, guys? For now, I'm returning a null. Got it, everyone? You can use the optional wrapper. Java has an optional wrapper, sort of. Got it? Oh, my bad. There should be a variable name here as well. This should be passenger sign up request DTO. Okay, cool. So now we have a controller ready. Let's first of all just quickly see if we are able to hit this controller or not. So I'll just run the app. I'll open Postman. In the request body, what you have passed, this is what I'm passing in the request body. And in the passenger DTO, let's do one more thing. Let's also send the ID of the user. Private string ID. Okay, let's also send back the ID of the user, guys. Okay, let's restart. Okay, restart done. And 1 second. Why my postman again and again asked me to sign up? Just a second. Yep. Okay. So let's make a new collection. Uber auth service. Okay. I'll make a new request. I'll call it as passenger sign up. And it's a post request for now. And we are going to say http://localhost 7475/API/v1/auth/signup/passenger. Right? Is that the correct route? Passenger. Okay. And inside the body, we expect these parameters. So we expect a name, let's say sample. We expect a phone number, let's say some particular number. Then we expect an email, let's say a@b.com. Then let's say we expect what? Password as pass123, or let's keep it easy. 1 2 3 4 5. What else? Phone number should also be a string. Okay. And yeah, we need these 4 properties altogether. Make sense, guys? Let's try to send and see if the request is incoming or not. If I send the request, you can see it says 200. Okay, nothing is coming up because we were returning null. At least we are able to hit the API altogether. Make sense, guys? Make sense, everyone? Yes, Satvik, those validations we are going to do. I'll talk about validations. Don't worry. Okay. So we'll do that. Okay. Maybe in this service only. Cool. So this looks good to me. This looks good to me. I'll just quickly create a commit. So git add all, git commit -m, added first plain API with details. Here we go. Any questions as of now? Any questions as of now? Anybody with any questions? If you want to send request with URL encoded form, once again, I once read about it. Let's just quickly Google. URL encoded in request body Spring. I once read about it. Spring Boot. I don't remember. Let's just quickly check. You can see handling URL encoded form data in Spring REST. So get mapping and feedback. You can see a few configurations you can do. Non-browser request. You can see there is a consumes property that you can give media type dot application form URL encoded value. Can you see? Okay, so you don't need to remember, just Google it. You'll find this property. Got it? Can you show the passenger DTO? Yeah, sure. This is the passenger response DTO altogether. Okay, cool. Now we have a controller. What do we need? We need a service. We'll create a new package, services. Make sense, guys? What is URL encoded body? Okay, guys, maybe you don't know about what is URL encoded body. Let me show you. For example, if let's say you want to send the data like abc@example.com. Now, the browser URL doesn't understand @. For example, most of the time you will never see @ or let's say space or tab space. These kind of special characters you will never see in the URL. Are you able to get this point? because browser not able to read that. So there is a encoding. There is an encoding called as URL encoding. In URL encoding, what you do is you convert these special characters to some specific encoding. For example, @ is converted to something like %40. And I can show you this as with an example as well. If you open flipkart.com, you go here and you click a few filters and you see the URL. This is the URL. Let me show you how the URL is looking like. This is the URL. Can you see inside this URL? There is a lot of this %2c. There is this %5b, so on and so forth. So what are these %2c, %5b, for %5d? These are all special characters, but URL cannot just directly understand these special characters. So you have to encode them into some other form. So you can actually see %2c URL encoded. Okay. What is %2c in URL encoded? You can see it's a comma. So you will never even see comma in your browser URLs when you will open them. You will always see them converted to in the form of %2c. That's URL encoded form data. Make sense? From Postman, you can send normal. Like, for example, this. It's an easier interface. It's just that it's an easier interface. Here we have to create the whole JSON, right? If you use the URL form encoded, then it will be kind of like a fill in the blanks. So a lot of people, that's why I prefer it. But yeah. Okay, cool. Coming back. Let's remove all of this. We don't need this. So now we have services. So what do we need? We need an auth service, guys. We need an auth service. Are you guys able to get this point? Inside this auth service, what is going to happen? We are going to call the repository. So we need a repository as well. Repositories. Okay, repository as well. Okay, cool. Now, whose repository do we need? Whose repository do we need? We need a passenger repository. So for passenger repository, what do you need? You need a passenger model. Can I say that? Yes or no? You need a passenger model altogether, right? Cool. So now, if you remember, inside our review service also, we had a passenger model. Remember all of this? We had a passenger model. Can I say that? Remember, we had a passenger model. Now, a question might come to your mind is that if, let's say, there are two microservices, as I previously mentioned also in your class, that two microservices might be interacting with the same database or they might be interacting with a different database. Can I say that? Can I say that, guys? Doesn't matter if they are interacting with the same database or a different database. They might be interacting with the same entity, right? Okay. Now, in this case, the passenger entity or the passenger model is common between the auth service and the review service. Yes or no? Now, how to handle cases like this? Now, a simple way will be to create a models folder, to create a new package models and create a brand new passenger model here as well. Are you guys able to get this point? And just copy paste this passenger model as it is. Copy paste this passenger model as it is. Okay. Now your question can come to your mind is that two questions can come to your mind. Sir, don't you think this is plain copy paste and repetitive? Second, is this used in industry? These two questions can come to your mind, right? The answer to the first question is yes, that this is repetitive. The answer to the second question is also yes, that things similar to this is actually done in production. And do you know where I have interacted with this kind of a scenario? We used to do this in Google. So let me give you some context. Yes, when I was working with Google Pay, we used this. So in Google, if you remember, we talked about REST, right? We talked about REST. Apart from REST, there are other conventions as well called as GraphQL, or you can use something like gRPC. Okay. Okay. In gRPC also, again, it's kind of like a communication standard. In REST, what do? You send JSONs, right? In REST, you send JSONs. In gRPC, you send something called as protocol buffer. Okay. You can say it's again kind of like a data structure. For now, you can understand it's kind of like a data structure. Okay. So the best part about protocol buffer is that if you're using protocol buffers, like if you're doing gRPC, then you can create a protocol buffer file, and this protocol buffer file will automatically create the Java classes behind the scenes for you, and you can use the builders directly altogether. So you write a protocol buffer file, right? The extension is .proto, and when you write this file and compile your code, it will automatically generate a person class with an optional string name, optional int ID, optional string email. It will automatically create that class for you. And wherever you want to use it, like you don't have to create the class. It will behind the scenes automatically create the class for you. Wherever you have to create a person object, you can just use the builder from that particular person class that is automatically generated by protocol buffer. Are you guys able to get this point? Now you might be thinking, how does this connect to our question? Now in GPay, we used to have multiple services. We used to have dedicated orchestration services. We used to have vendor services. There were a lot of services that we were involved with. Now, as I mentioned, multiple services might be interacting with the common entity. So what we used to do was inside every service, for example, let's take an example of payment instrument. Payment instrument means that, let's say you add a bank account in GPay. That's a payment instrument. Are you able to get this point? Let's say you added your HDFC bank account. That one bank account is your payment instrument. Now you added your Axis bank account. That Axis bank account is your payment instrument. Now let's say you registered for UPI Lite. UPI Lite is also a payment instrument. Are you able to get this point? So we used to have a payment instrument protocol buffer. Now that payment instrument protocol buffer was used in multiple services. So what we used to do was, wherever we have to use payment instrument, we had to make a new protocol buffer file. Maybe a lot of time it is just a copy paste from the other service and put it in the new service. And whenever we just used to compile the service, it automatically used to generate the classes for you. So we used to copy paste. If you need something else in that particular class for that particular service, you can do that. But a lot of time we used to just copy paste the protocol buffer. And in fact, if there is an entity that is in the back end and there is an entity in the front end. So in the front end also we used to use gRPC. So in the front end also we used to make a similar kind of a protocol buffer that is already present in the back end and then interact with it. Are you guys able to get this point? So this practice is indeed like having an entity which is common across services, and you make classes for that entity across, is used very widely. Are you guys able to get this point? Are you guys able to get this point? Drop a quick yes or no in the chat. Now, is this the only way to do this? No. It's not the only way to handle things like this. But then, how can we handle it in a better way? Anybody? How can we handle it in a better way? How about we have a common library? We have a common library that can give all of our models together, and we can just import it from that library. Are you guys able to get this point? Right? So eventually we will be going towards that. I'll be making a common models library where we'll be handling the stuff. And one more reason why we need a common models library, because currently we want to handle models with what? The model creation we want to handle with your DB migrations, remember? Now just think about it. Every service will be having its own set of migrations. No, that won't be the best way to go for. Can I say that? So what we can have is, we can have a entity project We can have an entity project. We will not be exposing any REST API or anything altogether out of it. It will be kind of like a library for us. And we will be having all the corresponding entity classes there, and we can just import them in our project. Are you guys able to get this point? And whenever we will run that entity project, all the flyway migrations also, we can just keep it there, and they will all automatically handle creation of things inside our database. Are you guys able to get this point? Drop a quick yes in the chat. In case your service is interacting with an absolutely different database, then you can have for every database, you can have this kind of one library. Let's say you have database 1, so there will be one DB1 library. If you have another database which handles a bunch of more things, you can have a DB2 library altogether. Are you guys able to get this point? Is this point making sense, guys? What are the challenges and what do we want to eventually do here? Okay, so we'll slowly and steadily move towards that. Right. For now, what I'll be doing is I'll be creating the model again, and I'll be having the flyway migration here. But later we will do the refactor. We'll make our own one end-to-end library, which we will start just importing inside our services, and things will be all good to go. Make sense, guys? No, it will not fail. If you are making a change, Shubham is asking, sir, but in the first solution, if you have a user entity constrained with another entity, how will you even build the project? It will fail. It will not fail. Why it will fail? Because we are not creating the tables with our model classes. Remember, now we are not creating the tables with our model classes. Tables are being generated by Flyway. And you just have to do the validation through JPA. You don't need a microservice, because when you say microservice, then you expose communication protocol and everything inside that. You don't need that, Rajatkar, right? Okay, so let's have a quick break, guys. Let's have a quick break. Post break, we will come back and we'll start implementing our auth service, and we'll see how you can integrate bcrypt altogether. Okay, let's have a quick 10-15 minute break. I'll push all of this code. We have not written much, just one public class auth service. So before that, everything I've pushed, so you can check that, and let's have a quick break. Post break, we'll come back. Okay. Is everyone back? Okay. Cool. So let's see, where were we? So what do you guys think? Like, should we first of all implement that local library, or should we first of all go ahead and implement the auth and then come back to that local library? What do you guys think? Implement auth first, Akhil says. What about the rest of the people? Like, whatever you guys suggest. Ankan says auth first. Two people for auth first. Akash says auth first. Auth first. Okay, let's do auth first in that case. I believe one more thing that we might have to do in that case is we'll go to build.gradle. Here you can see here we have Flyway core and Flyway MySQL. I believe the dependencies were slightly different. Yeah, you can see it was Flyway MySQL 8.4.4. So let's use this one. Okay, let's use this one and we'll refresh. Okay, cool. Now, what we'll do is we'll have the models. We have the models. Let's create a brand new Java class. And what should be the Java class? Remember, base model. Base model. Okay. I'll copy paste everything from the base model from my review service. Okay. Let's copy paste everything from here and paste it here. Okay. So we have the base model as it is. Again, later we will migrate it to a common library so that we don't have to do the copy paste at all. I'll take the passenger as well. Copy. And here I'm going to create a new class, passenger. And I'll paste this. Okay. So we have passenger with us. Okay. And we have a list. And we need a booking as well. We need booking as well. Or let's again, let's go one by one. Let's take everything one by one. So now we can create a booking class as well. Copy. You can see it's a pretty heavy task. So migrating it to a common library should be later good. So booking and paste it here. So booking is with us. Okay. So booking is coming with us. Now booking needs booking status. So let's bring back booking status. It's a simple enum. Copy and new Java class, booking status, enum. And we need one more thing, driver. So we'll take a driver. Okay. Copy. Then let's create a brand new Java class, driver, and we paste the driver. Make sense? More or less everything looks good to us. Okay. If I will run the project, it should connect to the database. And after connecting to the database, it should validate the DB as well. You can see everything is up and running fine. That means validation and everything is working. Now, if you remember, if you see the passenger sign up request GTO, we have introduced email, password, and phone number. Currently, our passenger doesn't have that. Can you guys see? Okay. So what we can do is, just a second. Let's see why it's throwing an error here. Passenger. Okay. Let's reopen it. Yeah, that's good. Cool. So what we can do is we can introduce a few new properties. So we have name already. We can have private string phone number. We can have a private string email and a private string password. Can I say that, guys? And we can say @ column nullable is equals to false. Email cannot be null. Same thing. Password cannot be null. Same thing. Phone number cannot be null. Got it, guys? Got it, everyone? Now, if we will, and let's also make @ name also. something like this. Now, if I will run this project, should it compile? Or should it build? No, you can see it's not building because of schema invalidation. Make sense? Right. So in this case, what is going to help us? We have to create a set of flyway migration altogether. So now this is not going to be an init migration. Can I say that? It's not going to be an initializer migration. Why? Because we have a few migrations already in the review service. We have a few migrations already in the review service. The new migrations, I'm going to continue from there. But again, as I mentioned, later we are going to migrate, like transport everything to a new library where all the migrations and the models are going to coexist. Make sense? So you can see we have a DB migration folder altogether. What we can do is we can create a brand new migration. So we'll say, we'll come here and we'll click on plus. We'll say flyway version migration. Okay. What's the actual state of the model will be from the model, and previous snapshot is going to be from the DB. If I click on OK, and DB connection is required. 1 second. Let's click on default connection. 1 second. Why it's not taking DB connection? This is good. This is good. Scope. This. And oh, my bad. Here I have not added the DB connection driver, I guess. Okay. So let's click on plus, and we have the data source as MySQL. Okay. You can see. So we are going to test the connection once. So the username is root for me. Password is this. Test connection. Yeah, succeeded. Apply. Okay. So it will take this connection from now. And if I click on OK, you can see what it is doing is it's kind of like creating all of the corresponding tables for us. Do we need all of the tables here? Do we need all of the tables here? Guys, do we need all of the tables? No, right? We don't need all of the tables, but it is creating all of the tables because it's not able to see the previous set of version or previous set of migrations that has these set of tables coming up ahead. Are you guys able to get this point? It is not able to see all of those migrations coming up. Right. So what we can do is either we can just keep this kind of a migration already, or we can just say, let's say it's what, V7 maybe for us, right? And add phone number, email, password to passenger. Okay, .SQL. Save it, and we can write our own SQL here. We can write our own SQL here. Okay. So what we can write is, we can say alter table passenger, add column. Okay. Let's see how can we add multiple columns. If you go here, add multiple non-nullable columns, MySQL. Okay. So or you should say alter. Okay. You can see how to alter a column and everything. So you can see, you can say something like alter table name. You can see alter table name, alter column, add column, things like this. So we'll also do add column, and one column that we need is, let's see. So inside passenger, we have phone number. So we can say phone underscore number. Okay. And this is going to be of type not null. And this is going to be a varchar, something like this. Okay. So let's see one more thing, how it has actually kept phone number to a driver. You can see, remember, we also did adding phone number to a driver. So we can just copy paste this from here, change the driver to passenger. Okay. And then I guess we can add comma separated more values. Then we can say add email, which is again a varchar 255, for example, and not null. This is also going to be a not null. This is email. Then we have a password varchar 255 not null. Okay, these are the three values we are going to add. Make sense? Yes, Shubham, we already talked about that in the previous set of classes. Guys, remember we talked about the fact that data definition language part you can directly do with Spring Data JPA Buddy, the extension. We have already discussed that. Okay, and one more thing we have to do, we have to change name to also not null. So we'll say comma, and let's put it in new line. And here we can say comma, alter name, and we will alter it to, let's say something like not null. Okay, something like this here. Alter this to not null. Okay, and I'll just quickly check. We were at V6. Let's try to run the code and see if flywheel migrations are working for us or not. If I run the code, let's see what happens. Okay, this throws an error. Okay, can you see? Migrations have failed the validation. Detected applied migration not resolved locally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Why? Because we have named the migration number as V7. Can you see? The migration number here is V7. So it's not able to detect the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 migration altogether. Are you guys able to get this point? So let's try one or two things. First thing that I'm going to try is, let's go to refactor. Let's go to rename and let's call it as V1 and now run the code. Otherwise, another way would be, we will just bring back all the migration and you can see it still fails. It still fails because it cannot add the migration properly. So the best way here would be, let's keep it as V7. So I will say refactor, rename to V7 only. And we are going to bring back everything from here. So copy and paste it here. And now you must be realizing the need of migrations, right? Now you must be realizing the need of migrations to be transported to a common place. Otherwise, we have to always come and copy paste all of this. Make sense? Okay, now let's run the code. Let's see what happens. Okay, this still throws an error. Okay, now you can see it has tried applying the migration, but let's see what happens. You have an error in the SQL syntax. Okay, it says not null syntax is not correct. Oh, my bad. You cannot just say not null. You have to mention the type also. Not null, and it should be varchar 255 only. And now I believe there might be a, one second. There might be an unfinished migration now. So let's see, localhost 034. Okay, which one do we need? We need UberDB local. Okay, UberDB local, and let's make a query here. Okay, so select star from this. There might be an unfinished migration. You can see this is a unfinished migration, right? So let's do one thing. Let's delete this and let's try again. Okay, this still throws an error. Now what? Alter name. Let's see. What is the error coming up? You have an error in the it says SQL syntax. Are you missing something in the syntax? Alter table passenger, add this, alter this. Varchar, no, I don't think it should. Should it be only on cache? Because MySQL is like independent of that, right? Oh, it should not be alter. It should be modify or what? Should it be modify? Modify column. I guess there is a modify that we have to use. Modify column. Add, drop, rename. Oh, it is alter only. And it is modify as well. Let's see what is for MySQL. Alter column to not null MySQL. It might be different in MySQL. Let's see. Yeah, it should be modified. It should be modified. Modify. Okay, let's try. Let's delete the migration and rerun the code. Yeah, it should be modified. And you can see everything is good up and running. If I refresh, and if I go to passengers, columns, you can see we have phone number and everything as well. So this is working well. Got it? Okay. So I'll just quickly commit this. Git add all, git commit -m, copied migrations and models, and created a new migration for adding phone number. Here we go. Make sense, everyone? Okay. Now, like just for a fact, did you just see that when we were looking at the syntax, somewhere it was saying alter table, table name, alter column. Somewhere it is saying modify column. So this thing happens because SQL is a standard. Now, whatever database is adapting SQL, they can do modifications correspondingly, right? So in some other database, maybe alter table, table name, alter column can work. In some databases like MySQL, you have to use modify. So always keep that thing in mind, guys. Make sense? Okay, cool. Now, what do we need? We'll come up here. And now we just need one more thing as of now from my Uber review service, which is my repositories. Okay, so we'll need, we don't have a passenger repository here. So we can just quickly create that. So I'll say new Java class passenger repository. Okay, we'll first of all annotate it with @repository, and we are going to extend, remember, JPA repository of type passenger to long. Make sense? And this should be not a class, this should be an interface. Should be an interface. And we have our repository ready. Now we will go to the service. Okay, we will annotate this with @service. Okay, cool. And here we are going to have a method, public passenger DTO sign up. Oh, sorry, let's bring passenger DTO, and I'll say sign up passenger. Okay, and here what we are going to do, we are going to add, or I would say pass all the properties. So I will say passenger sign up request DTO, passenger sign up request DTO. Let's say I'll bring that in my service. Okay, cool. Now what I have to do here is I have to create a brand new passenger. So I'll say passenger is equals to new, or I should say passenger dot builder. Okay, and we'll build the passenger object. How do we build the passenger object? We'll say dot email. Where do we get the email from? We will say dot get email. Okay, now we'll say dot name. How do we get the name from? Dot get name. Then we say dot password, dot get password, and dot phone number as this dot get phone number. Are you guys able to get this point? Now, do we want to store the plain passwords? Do we want to store the plain passwords? No. For now, I'll keep the plain password, but let's add a to-do here that encrypt the password. Okay, we can add a to-do here and we will resolve it today only, that encrypt the password. But for now, this is the passenger that we have. And what we can do is we can get the passenger repository. So we'll say passenger repository. So you can see all the injection and everything it will automatically do. .save passenger. Make sense? Make sense, guys? Okay. And what we can do is we can say passenger DTO response is equals to passenger DTO dot let's see. So now what we have to do is we have, like, once we have the new passenger with us, you can say passenger new passenger is equals to this. Okay. Now what we are going to do is from this particular passenger object, we are going to create the DTO object altogether. Yes or no? Okay. So what we can do is inside my passenger DTO, I can have a method public static, and the response should be a passenger DTO, and I'll call it as a from. Okay. And what I can say is that this is kind of like a converter method for us. Okay. Passenger P. So we'll say that there is a method dot from. I will pass a passenger object and it should give me a passenger DTO altogether. Okay. So I'll say passenger DTO result is equals to passenger DTO dot builder dot build. And how do we build it? Let's see. So we'll say dot ID from P dot get ID dot created at from P dot get created at dot email from P dot get email. So I'm making this method so that I don't have to again and again do the same thing in different parts of my service. Then dot password P dot get password dot phone number P dot get phone number. Anything else? Email, password, phone number, name unique dot name P dot get name. Okay. And at last, what we are going to do is we are going to return the result. Cool. Let's see why this is crying. Oh, this should be a long. This should be a long list. Okay. Or if you don't want to keep it long, you can just say a 2 string here. Then it will convert it to a string. Let's do a 2 string if you want. Anything you can keep. Anything you can keep. Okay. Cool. Make sense, everyone? Yes. So guys, you can use something like map struct to actually map data between different beans of your Java, like different Java beans altogether. That is also one way. Okay, you can install. There's a library, guys, called as map struct. I can show you. Nice suggestion, in fact. Map struct Gradle. Okay, so you can see. To install it in Gradle, you can do it like this. And if you see the usage reference guide, sorry, examples. Let's go to examples. Let's go back. Spring Boot. Okay, this is also a cool library that you can use. So if I open it, and you can see, you can write your corresponding classes like this, and then you can make a mapper class. See, and using this mapper class, you can convert one object to another object. See, from user DTO, from user to user DTO, or user DTO to user. Are you guys able to get this point? So you can write these converter classes, and it will, like, whatever are the properties that it can directly convert, it will automatically convert them for you. For example, let's say if the user class and the user DTO class are absolutely same, it will automatically convert them for you. If there are some manual properties that you need to map, then you have to add the logic for that particular manual property. Are you able to get this point? So this library also you can use, no problem there. Okay. Cool. Coming back. Let's make it an inline variable only, and we have the from method. And now here we can say passenger DTO dot from new passenger. Okay. You can see we have got the response object here, and we can just say return it. Make sense, everyone? So ideally, if we hit this service properly, we should be able to create a plain new passenger with plain password, not encrypted. Not the encrypted password altogether. Okay, but let's see what happens. So now if I will go to the controller, now from the controller, I need to make a call to the service. Yes or no? To make a call to the service, the first thing that we should do is inject the service. So we'll say auth service, or let's do it like this. We will say private auth service, and we'll say public auth controller. It will take a parameter of auth service as this dot auth service is equals to auth service, and we'll say auth service dot sign up passenger, and we'll pass the passenger sign up request DTO. Are you guys able to get this point? And this is going to give me a passenger DTO in the response altogether. Make sense, guys? And at last, instead of returning null, I can say return new response entity, right? And I'll say response, and the status code we can return is http status dot created. Make sense, guys? Okay, let's run our code. Pretty straightforward. Okay, so the server is up. If now I make a request, okay, it says internal server error, not null property. Where we have a not null property. Let's see. Dot created at. 1 second. We have a passenger service, sorry, auth service. Okay. And passenger repository dot save. Oh, my bad. Again, now we need to have all those entity listeners and everything, right? Remember, if you go back to passenger and everything, sorry, if you go back to base model, there is created at and updated at, where we had an entity listener, and you have to add a enable JP auditing to enable the entity listener, right? So let's do that. Okay, let's rerun the code. It's up again. Let's try it now. And now you can see we have a brand new passenger that has been actually created. Cool. Okay. Now we have a passenger being created. Now we need to encrypt the password of the passenger, right? We need to now encrypt the corresponding password of the passenger. Now encryption can be done using bcrypt altogether, right? The encryption part we can actually handle using bcrypt. So for bcrypt, there are a lot of libraries. That you can use, which will help us to actually enable bcrypt in our code, and we can just directly encode things from there. Okay. So there is a library called as bcrypt encoder. Okay. So let me show you. So if you go here, okay, sorry, if you go here and now you search for bcrypt encoder Spring Boot. Okay, so you can see there is a bcrypt password encoder. Okay, and the mention of this is in the official Spring docs as well. Can you see? And you can see it has a method where you can actually pass a corresponding version, pass a particular random strength, a lot of things you can directly do from here. Okay, so let's see how can we integrate this with Gradle. And you can see. Spring Security password encoding, and you can see you can have a password encoder, bcrypt password encoder. Okay. And at any point of time, if you see password encoder.encode and you can just give the password, it will give you the encrypted password altogether. Make sense, guys? Everyone? Say yes or no in the chat. Now, interestingly, the bcrypt password encoder, this bcrypt password encoder comes as a part of Spring Security. Okay. So there's a package called as Spring Security. Okay. So Spring Security enables you to do a lot of things. We will see when we'll start learning about the login flow. Then also we'll start learning about the Spring Security. So what you can actually do is, you can actually add Spring Security to your project. Okay. Spring Security, you can say again, is a library that is going to bring a lot of things along with it. And you can say one of the things is going to be the bcrypt password encoder. So you can say Spring Boot Starter Security Gradle. Okay, this is the library that we are going to install. So Spring Boot Starter Security. And if you go to Gradle, this is something that we will need. Are you guys able to get this point? Okay. So we'll go to our build.gradle. And here I will add Spring Boot Starter Security. Now, as I mentioned, Spring Boot Security is going to give you a lot of more things, not just the password encoder altogether. Okay. Make sense, everyone? Any questions from anyone? Okay. Now, let's go to the docs back. Okay. Now, if you carefully see, how do you want to use Spring security, like bcrypt security is that you can see inside your service, you can just inject your password encoder. Can you see? You can use the bcrypt password encoder directly. Are you guys able to get this point? Okay. So let's use that. If I go to my auth service, okay, I can say private final bcrypt password encoder, and we can say bcrypt password encoder, this is equals to this. Okay. Now, can you see there is an error coming? Up? Carefully, can you guys see this? Can anybody tell me why is this error coming up? We are trying to do a constructor injection, but this is technically throwing us an error. Chatterjee Shubham says auto-wired. Okay, so Shubham is saying don't do constructor injection. You want to say that you just say auto-wired. Is that going to solve it? No, that is also not going to solve it. If I just remove this from here, there's a very subtle answer to this. Can you see this is also not going to solve it? Shubham, can you see it's also not going to solve it? Anybody who can tell me? There is a important, I would say, thing that you guys are missing. Yes, Abhijit, you are thinking the right direction. Guys, if I come back, like auto-wired is also going to fail and our constructor injection is also going to fail. Now just think about it. This parameter, who is going to pass this parameter, guys? Who is going to pass this parameter? Spring is going to pass this parameter. Now, why Spring is not able to pass this parameter? Because Spring doesn't know how to create a bcrypt password encoder object. Okay. You might be thinking why Spring Boot security has kept it like this. I don't have an answer for that. But if you carefully see the step number 1, you have to define a bean for the bcrypt password encoder. Are you guys able to get this point? Okay. So what you have to do is you have to configure this. For these kind of configurations, you can keep a new package, configurations, Okay. And here we are. What I can do is I can create a brand new class, Spring Security. You can name it anything. I'm calling it as Spring Security. Okay. I'm going to annotate this class with configuration. The moment I annotate this class with configuration, now Spring knows about this class and will handle everything that we are going to mention in this class. Now, inside this class, I'm going to use the annotation bean. Now, what @bean annotation is going to do? @bean annotation is going to help Spring Boot create a bean object of whatever class we are going to mention here. So we are going to say public bcrypt password encoder, bcrypt password encoder. Okay. And we'll say just return new bcrypt password encoder. Okay. So at any point of time, if we will ask for bcrypt password encoder object, it is going to get that from this function. And what is this function returning? A Java object. And what is Java object in the world of Spring? A bean. Are you guys able to get this point? The moment I add this class, and if I go to my auth service, can you see now it is gone? Because now Spring knows that at any point of time, somebody asks for bcrypt password encoder, you have to get it from here. Okay. And interestingly, if you come to auth service and let's say you call it as X, can you see? The moment I call it as X, still it works because eventually the bean is coming from here. Okay, so you can name it anything. No problem. And you might think it's recursive, but it's not recursive. Why? Spring Boot has to pass this object. Spring Boot doesn't know how to pass this object. I defined a function which creates an object of this particular class and defined it as a bean. Now Spring Boot will come here and see, oh, if I have to create an object of this particular class, I have to create it like this. You can say that we have actually filled up a missing implementation. That's why it's not going to be recursive. Now, because here we have mentioned how to create this class. This is how you create this class object. Now, you might be thinking that why not Spring just did this on its own? Because if you go to bcrypt password encoder, there are multiple different constructors possible. Which constructor you want to trigger, you have to tell that. You can see there is a default password encoder. There is a password encoder with a custom strength. There is a password encoder with a custom bcrypt version, strength and some random secure I would say salt, some version and some strength, some version strength and random. Can you see? There are different constructors possible. Now here Spring Security is not able to take a decision for you, or you can say Spring is not able to take a decision for you that which one of the constructors you want to trigger. So we'll say that for our case is going to be pretty simple. So we'll keep the default constructor in place. Are you guys able to get this point? Why we have to create this bean object altogether? For this bcrypt password, because there are a lot of choices. Anand says, come again, please. Anand, let me comment this method. The moment I comment this method, can you see an error here? Okay. Why there is an error coming up? Can I say auth service class has been annotated by @service? @service means this class is going to be managed by Spring Boot. Can I say that? Okay. If this class is managed by Spring Boot, constructor of this class will also be called by Spring Boot. Yes or no? If constructor will be called by Spring Boot is responsible to pass these two objects. Can I say that? Now Spring Boot doesn't know how to pass the bcrypt encoder, bcrypt password encoder object. Because to create the bcrypt password encoder object, there are 6 different constructors possible. Once again, there are 6 different constructor possible. Which constructor you want to have, it doesn't understand. So for that, what do you say that? Okay, there are multiple constructors. I will resolve your problem. I will define my own bean creation method. Bean means Java object. So I will define my own bean creation method, right? And that's it. That will actually help Spring to resolve this conflict. Got it, guys? And now we have to encode our password, right? Before I encode the password, let's go to the passenger table. Okay. And I say select star from passenger. Query. Can you see this passenger has the password stored in a plain fashion? Can I say that? This passenger has the password stored in a plain fashion. Okay. Now, maybe I can delete all the passengers altogether for now. All the passengers deleted. Okay. Now, what I'll do is, before I create a passenger object, I will convert this incoming password to bcreate password encoder dot encode. Can I say that? Now, I'm not storing the plain password. I'm first encoding the password, then storing it in the passenger object, and then saving it in the repository. Are you guys able to get this point? The moment you do this and run it, you can see everything is up and running. Okay. And if you send the request, okay, it says 401 unauthorized. Why it is saying 401 unauthorized? Because the moment you install Spring Security, inside your application, all of the routes that you have here, like any controller has any routes, all of them becomes protected. Protected means all of them require you to have authentication setup. But just think about it. To sign up, do we need authentication? Sign up is the part of the authentication process. Can I say that? Sign up is the part of the authentication process. Yes or no? So we have to make sure that any sign up or login request is independent of authentication, because they are the means of authentication. Are you guys able to get this point? Okay. So now, how do we resolve this? Just a moment. Okay. Yeah, make this final. Okay. Now, how do you resolve it? Inside the same Spring Security class where you have the configuration, can you see this configuration annotation is part of the component annotation only. And if you see component annotation, you can see this is coming up. So this is required for any kind of a configuration that you do. You can see this is for any kind of a configuration class. Now in the same Spring Sec, because it's a configuration class, what you can actually do is you can actually set up a method for making an exception for a particular set of requests. Let's do that. I'll say public void, and I will call it as configure. Okay. And here we are going to pass a method HTTP security HTTP. Okay. This is the method that we need. You might be thinking, okay, sir, how do you know this is the method that you have to, this is the object that you have to pass? How do you know about all of this? It's all on the documentation. If you see how to set up Spring Security, just Google it, and you will get all of these documentation coming up. So you can see how do you set up Spring Security? You install Spring Security, and then you have to set up a Java configuration. And this is this kind of a Java configuration we actually need. So I'm just doing that thing only. Okay, cool. So we'll say public void configure, right? And if you carefully see, just 1 second, let me connect my charger first. Just a second. Okay. Just a minute. Okay, everybody is able to see my shared screen. Okay, so what you can do is you can just refer any of the articles. For example, this is a good article that I already have for you guys. Okay, if you want to set up Spring Boot security, there are a few steps that are actually already mentioned here. You can see you have to install Spring Security, and you can kind of like make a configuration class like this. Can you see this here? Okay, so we are going to do the same thing. Whatever is the configuration class, you have to extend web security configure adapter. You might be thinking why we are doing, sir, all of this? Because the moment you do this, Spring Boot enables all the security configurations for you. Now to get this, you have to get a annotation enable web security. enable web security. Okay. And this is going to throw an exception. Let's see why this is throwing an error. Web security configurer adapter. 1 second, let's see. Why is this crying? Anything we missed? Status security we have. It's not able to find this. Okay, let's maybe for a moment, let's not get this extended. Okay. And let's see, let's go to the Beldung documentation. Okay, they don't configure this. So we can also maybe avoid it. Okay, they are not configuring it. We can also avoid this altogether. Okay, cool. So let's do this. So now what you have to do is you have to configure your HTTP request. Okay, you can say HTTP dot CSRF dot disable. Okay, what is CSRF? Once again, is the screen freezed, guys? Is the screen freezed? Once again, let me reshare. Can you guys see the screen now? Okay, cool. So we'll say http.csrf.disable. Okay, what is CSRF? Anybody? What is CSRF? Cross-site request forgery. Anybody knows what is cross-site request forgery? Ashish gave the full form correct. Internet banking and malicious website open at the same time. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. So there is a homework. Let's try to read about two things. One is course. I'll of course discuss this in class. And one CSRF. Read about these two terms, guys. What is course and what is CSRF? You'll get a lot of you will get a lot of context. But you can say that it doesn't allow requests to pass through multiple different sites. But okay, I'll request you guys to actually take a look at it. Okay. Okay, cool. So I'm going to, for now, disable the CSRF protection. We can enable it in production. For development environment, we can stop it. Okay. And then there is a method called as authorize requests. Okay. Dot authorize request. You can actually check that here as well. Dot authorize request. Dot any matchers. Okay. Let's see why it's throwing an error. Oh, it's ant matchers. One second. It's ant matchers. It's ant matchers. Let's rewrite it. Dot ant matchers. One second. Let's try it again. Dot. Okay. Why it's ant matchers is not coming up? Are we missing something? Let's also override this method. Da-da-da. HTTP security. Why this doesn't have that method? One second. Let's say HTTP dot authorize request dot and matchers not coming up. Did we install Spring Security? I guess, yeah. Let's see if they have a new documentation or something. Okay, it says first ant matcher. Let's see, let's try now. HTTP dot. It's not able to find the adapter. Let us see. Is there a specific, I guess we installed it for a specific version, right? Maybe we can just get the stable one. Let's remove the version from here for a moment and reinstall it for a moment. Okay. Then let's see. Let's come back. Spring Security. HTTP dot authorize request dot ant matcher. Okay, this is not coming up. Let's see some other docs. Set up Spring Security. Yeah. Maybe they have changed the method now. Spring Boot Starter Security. Did we install Spring Boot Starter Security? Yes, we have. For 1 second, let me reinstall it. Okay. So I've reinstalled it. That's good. Now, configuration enable web security. So let's see. Configuration enable web security. That is good. Okay, this one is also saying to get web security configuration adapter. Web adapter. Okay, this is not found. Let's see. Not found. Okay, I guess we have to add Spring Security config as well. We have to add Spring Security config as well. Spring Security config, Gradle. Then I guess it will come up. Let's get this. Let's add it up. Because a few classes are missing here, right? So web security configuration. Okay, still not working. Interesting. Configure this abstract security initializer. Strange. Okay, yeah. Spring Security without the web security configuration adapter. Going forward, the recommended way of doing is this. Okay. Can you see? They have changed the recommended way to actually do this. So let's try to implement it in this way. So now what they do is they don't have this adapter, and let's remove the config that we added. Okay. So that's now the new recommended ways to use security filter chain. Okay. So let's use that. Okay. So we can just quickly Google security filter chain, security filter chain setup, medium. Okay. This is the new method that we have to, this is the new method that you have to just configure, nothing more, nothing less. Okay. And yep, something like this we have to set up. So let's try to set it up. Let's try to actually set it up. Okay. So what we can do is we can say @bean. Okay. Public security filter chain. Okay. We'll call it as, let's say, filtering criteria. Okay. And we're going to pass the HTTP security HTTP. Okay, cool. And here we can say HTTP dot CSRF dot disable. Okay, 1 second. it should throw an exception. So I should say throws exception. Okay. Let's see. Okay, this is, let's even remove it. Okay, let's directly have the any matchers. So let's say authorize requests dot let's say, let's, for the time being, let's use the method any request. Okay, let's use the method any request, and we can say return http.build. Okay, let's for a moment do this. Okay, let's rerun our code. Okay, it's not able to create the bean for security. Okay, let's see some docs. This looks like pretty old one. Configuration one looks like pretty old. And let's see, setup Spring security. Yeah. Let's see some latest docs maybe. This one is the latest, 2024. This must be the latest one. Okay. And we have bcrypt password encoder already here. Looks good. This is entity class. This is good. Yeah, this one we need. Let's copy it directly from here and paste it here. Okay, let's use it. Okay. Later we can do authorize request dot ant matchers, but let's see if it is working directly for us or not. Okay, yeah, this one is working now. This one is working. And if now we send the request, can you see what's happening? It says error forbidden, message forbidden, path this. Okay, so we are able to make the request, but the request is coming as 403 forbidden. Okay, so to avoid this forbidden, what we can do is we can modify our HTTP request. And what we can say in the HTTP request is that we'll say that we are going to authorize any request that is going to come for /sign up, kind of like this. Are you able to get this point? Okay, because why we are doing this? Because currently it is going to secure all the path for us. We don't want to secure all the paths. Okay, so let's do this. Okay, you can even read this. Securing web request. To configure these security rules, we need to declare a security filter chain bean. Can you see this is also a bean? Bean means this is also an object that will be created by Spring Boot at the time of startup. Okay, this is the basic method. The following are many things that you can configure here. For example, configuring a custom login page, enabling users to log out, configuring cross-site request forgery, requiring certain conditions to be met before allowing requests to be served. Are you guys able to get this point? Are you able to get this point, guys? Drop a quick yes or no in the chat. Any questions? Okay, so what we can do is before we build, we can also say that authorize HTTP requests, right? Dot or let's not say authorize HTTP request, let's say dot authorize requests. Okay, so we have a method dot authorize request, and here we can pass a callback. Here we can actually pass a callback. Authorize. Okay, so you can pass a lambda here, or you can say you can pass a callback. Okay, and then you can say authorize dot okay, this is still not showing. One second. Dot authorize HTTP requests a dot any request dot ant matchers are still not coming up. Why is that? Let's see what this has done. They are able to access ant matchers. Why we are not able to access ant matchers? dot authorize requests. We are not able to access ant matchers. Actually, in ant matchers, what will happen is it will actually allow us to get some of the requests, I would say, bypassed. Are you able to get this point? So let's see why ant matchers is not working for us. One second. Let's stop the server. Let's see. Authorize request dot ant matchers. Okay, let's see. Ant matchers not found. Why isn't ant matcher functioning? http.ant matcher. Let's try to directly do this dot ant matcher. Okay, this is not coming up. And let's see, what is HTTP security coming from? HTTP security is coming from web builders. That is correct. Okay, there is something called as request matchers also. Let's try with request matchers. So dot request matchers. You can see there is something like request matchers as well. I guess they have replaced it with request matchers, but let's see. So Spring security. You can see in the documentation also they say ant matchers only. Okay. And this can be changed to dot request matchers. Let's do this. Let's try dot request matchers. Okay. So we'll say dot authorize HTTP request. We'll say auth. And we say auth dot request matchers. If any request is going to match with slash API slash something. Okay. So we'll say if any request match with slash API slash v1 slash auth slash sign up slash star. Slash star means after sign up, if anything is there, we are going to permit it. We are going to permit it. We'll say permit all. So there is a method called as permit all. Okay. See what we have done is we are going to say that any request that is going to match slash API slash v1 slash auth slash sign up is going to be permitted. Make sense? Let's try to rerun it. Maybe they have changed the docs or maybe changed the methods in the latest API from ant matchers to something new, but let's see. So the service is up. Let's try to send the request again. Okay, this time again, no response is coming up. If you actually see the DB, let's quickly check the DB. New query console. Select star from passenger. Can you see? Okay, we didn't deleted this. Okay, one second. Did we not delete this? Oh, there is a foreign key constraint failing. Okay, let's change the data then in that case. So let's see, sample 200 ab@b.com. Password, let's keep it same. Okay, we are still getting 403. Okay. Now let's see, is there anything remaining? We can say http.course.disable, I guess. And we can say http.csrf.disable. Let's see, this is also throwing in. I guess we have to disable the course and CSRF as well. Let's quickly check. Getting 403 forbidden for Spring security. Let's see what are we missing. Yeah, we have to disable the CSRF token as well. So let's see. .csrf.disable we have to do. CSRF is deprecated. Let's quickly Google this. They must have now introduced a new method. A lot of things have changed in this API. Let's see. Okay, so you can do something like this. You can pass a callback. Okay, so they have made a lambda method here. So let's do dot csrf, and here you can say csrf dot disable. Okay, csrf dot disable. Yep, this is working. And you can say just disable. Let's rerun our project. Okay, the server is up. Let's try again. And now you can see everything is working. So a few things have changed in the API. Previously, it used to be http.csrf.disable. Now they have given a kind of like a callback based mechanism like this. CSRF to CSRF disable. You can just replace it with a method reference. If you know about Java lambdas, you can just do something like this. But for simplicity, I'll keep it like this. And if you restart, you can see you have to just say that, okay, all the CSRF requests should be disabled. And any request that is from the path /API /v1 /auth /signup, and after that anything is there, that particular API should be permitted. Are you guys able to get this point? And now if you make a request, you can see, and can you carefully see the password? The password is now encrypted. And if now let's say you go to your auth controller, inside auth controller, you make a new request. Let's say get mapping, and you just say something else, sign in. Okay, and let's say you do something like this, and you just say return something like this. Okay, we don't need this, sign in. Okay, let's say we have introduced a new get mapping of sign in. If now you restart your server, and let's say you try to make a request to, let's make a new request, add request, copy, paste, and /auth /sign. If now you try to make this request, can you see it again says 403 forbidden? Why? Because we have only allowed these type of requests to, I would say, pursue without any authentication. Are you guys able to see this? Any other type of request is again forbidden. Forbidden means you don't have access to that. Okay. Now, do you think we should only allow sign up? We should allow one more request, I believe. What do you guys think? Should we allow one more request? Don't you think we should allow the sign in request as well? If you come up here, we should allow one more request, maybe with sign in. Okay. So let's close all of this. Let's remove this and let's move it into new lines. Okay. Dot CSRF dot this. And here we should say auth dot this, and we should say dot request matchers. Now any request that comes with /API /v1 /auth /sign in /star. All the sign in request should also be permitted. Can I say that? All the sign in request should also be permitted. So now here, if you have /sign in /passenger, and now you run the code and send it. Once again, is there a spelling mistake? /API /v1 /auth /sign in. Okay, /star. And we have /API /v1 /auth /sign in /passenger. Oh, my bad. /passenger. If now you send the request, can you see you're getting the request as 10? This is now no more forbidden for you. Are you guys able to get this point? Anand, did you set up security chain? Did you set up Spring Security? If you have installed, guys, if you can install the bcrypt password encoder separately also, but bcrypt password encoder comes installed with Spring Security as well. Oh, so you're using Spring Security code. We are using, I guess, Spring Security Starter. So things can be different based on package to package. Make sense? Yeah, configure. It's all about configuration, right? Spring Boot is all about configuration, and it's all about configuration. How do you configure it? And you can see again, it expects us to create a bean of security filter chain. So the moment Spring Boot's project loads up, it's going to create the object of this bean. And inside this object, you have the configuration that CSRF should be disabled. All the HTTP requests with this particular route should be permitted, and this particular route should be permitted, nothing else. So this is all configurations that you are doing. And can you see we are able to set up the end-to-end sign-up procedure for the user. If you even go to the database and say select star from passenger, can you see all the passwords have been now encrypted? And this is using bcrypt actually for encryption. Are you guys able to see this? Okay, so let's just quickly commit this one. Added password and I would say hashing using bcrypt. Here we go. Yes, next class we will talk about the login part. Guys, login part we still have to discuss. As I mentioned, we have to go step by step. Authentication involves creation of account, then authentication, and then authorization. No, Rachel. So Flyway actually checks the version. So if you carefully see Flyway schema migration history, Flyway history, so it's going to check these checksums. Can you see there is a checksum? Can you see there is a checksum? This checksum is for validation. What kind of validation? The validation that you are not just doing a migration somewhere in between. You have all the migration set up properly. So it checks this checksum to see all the migrations are in sequence or not. Why did we permit sign in without auth? Akash, we have not permitted sign in without auth. We will create later. We are going to create a method /API/v1/auth/sign-in/passenger, where passenger will come up and do the login. Have you seen Facebook? In Facebook, there is a dedicated sign up page and a sign in page. Can I say that? So to access this path is to access that sign in page and do the sign in. How the sign in will work, we are going to talk about that. But this API is going to be to do the sign in, not to actually do the login process. Are you able to get this point? Questions, guys? Any more questions? Mohit, like I have implemented these things in multiple stacks now. So I know like where any particular thing is going to fail or what all things is needed. And it comes with like when you start working somewhere, you will get all of this. So validate is based on checksum and no validation. Rachel, validation is done by Spring Data JPA. Flyway is doing the validations of the migrations. Spring Data JPA will do the validation of entities. Are you able to get this point? Entity validation is going to be done by Spring Data JPA. Yes, Kostu. When we will be having our login done, then things will start working for us. I'll talk about the login process. Make sense, guys? Cool. Before we wrap up, we had a Quora app as a homework that I gave you guys. How many guys have completed that? Anyone? Shubham says done. Okay. Let's quickly open Discord. I don't see a project submission here. Guys, all those people who have completed the Quora project, please submit it here. You have your goodies and like the prizes up for stake. I can't see even a single submission. So I would highly recommend you guys to submit your project before 12 p.m. today for evaluation. So the validate we will give in, which we gave is entity validate. Yes, Rachel, you are absolutely right. The validate that we gave in application.properties here is going to be handled by Spring Data JPA, and that is for entity validation. Here. This one. That you are saying absolutely correct. Yes, Shubham, I will discuss it, but I want your submissions also. ना पहले ये तो देख लूं किसने खुद से कर लिया है. Yeah, just give me your GitHub link, guys. Just submit the GitHub links here. Please submit the GitHub links for your homework here. Before midnight. Make sense, everyone? Okay, cool. So in the next class, we will continue our, I would say, auth service. Okay, we have two interesting things to do. We have to set up the authentication part, and we have to set up a common library as well. That can help us to get rid of all of the effort that we are doing here to migrate the models and migrate the flyway migrations, right? We are doing a lot of effort here. We have to save that effort. So we'll make a common entity library altogether. Make sense, guys? That being said, let's wrap today's session here. One small doubt: how to track, I guess you're saying track IP address of system and location. Who is accessing a particular website? My website. I am not sure. IP address. Maybe you might have to. Can you access it through the browser? I have never tried this. Access IP address of a browser using JS. Because if you are able to do that, then you can get it in a on the server. Let's say on the server. Or let's call it like this: track IP of the user on a website. I never tried this. Let's see. Okay, I guess you have access to the IP address in the HTTP request coming up. Let's see. One way, I guess, you can also use Google Analytics, as far as I know. Track IP address of the user using Google Analytics. Because no location and everything, so you can get. You can see, you can integrate Google Analytics to track the IP address of a single account. That is one way. Okay. Does that one make sense? There might be some JS libraries as well. JS library to track user IP from browser. You can set up a RTC connection like web. If you, I recently did some YouTube videos on WebRTC. That can be one way, but I guess that's too far-fetched. And otherwise, you can use Google Analytics as well. These are two straightforward ways that I'm able to see. or you can see an IP address. You can get IP address using JavaScript. You can use IP file. There is something like IP file. Okay, you can see it shows my IP. So you can use IP file. There are libraries. I don't see that as an issue. What is my IP? Let's see if it is showing correct or not. Yeah, it's showing correct, I guess. Yeah. So you can use IP file. You can read this GFJ article. Let me share it in everyone. Just Google it. You will find the ways to handle things stuff. Okay. Make sense, guys? So in the next class, we will start implementing the auth part. Registration, we are done. We're able to implement the registration pretty gracefully. Let's see what we are able to do with the corresponding authentication part. That being said, let's wrap today's session here. We're going to meet soon in the next set of sessions. Till then, take care. Bye-bye. Have a great week ahead and keep coding, everyone.